There is a quiet anxiety that can settle in after the age of 55, a subtle hum beneath the surface of daily life. It's the background worry that accompanies every blood pressure reading, or the fleeting thought about what the sugar from dessert might be doing long term. That faint morning stiffness, that gentle dip in energy. One may dismiss them as just a part of getting older, but the source may not be the heart or the blood vessels alone. It may be the body's two silent, tireless filters, and their protection could lie not in another prescription, but in a forgotten mineral balance. A habit far simpler than one might ever imagine. Deep within the body, nestled on either side of the spine, two remarkable organs perform a task of immense importance. The kidneys. Day and night they work without pause, filtering the entire blood supply roughly 60 times every 24 hours. They are the master purifiers, the silent regulators of the body's internal ocean, deciding what to keep and what to discard with microscopic precision. Each kidney contains about 1 million tiny filtering units called nephrons, and at the heart of each nephron is a delicate bundle of blood vessels known as the glomerulus. It is here that the silent, decades-long battle for health is either won or lost. Imagine this delicate structure as the finest of silk sieves. For years, even decades, it dutifully filters waste from the blood. But when forces like chronically high blood pressure or elevated blood sugar persist, the pressure of the blood entering this sieve becomes relentless. It is not a sudden assault, but a constant, pounding force, like a river pressing against a dam, year after year. This unyielding pressure slowly damages the fragile walls of these tiny filters. This changes everything. This gradual, silent damage is the core reason why kidney function can decline with age, often without any obvious symptoms, until a great deal of function is already lost. The body doesn't send loud alarm bells. It sends quiet whispers, a little more fatigue, a bit of swelling in the ankles. By the time these whispers become shouts, the damage can be significant. This process is not inevitable. It is not a mandatory sentence of aging. It is a result of a sustained internal force that can, in many cases, be managed and mitigated through a profound yet simple understanding of the body's chemistry. So if stretching won't help, and drinking water is only part of the story, what is the one internal switch that can turn down this relentless pressure? The answer lies not in what is added, but in what is balanced. The secret is found at the cellular level, in a mechanism known as the sodium-potassium pump. This is a microscopic gateway present on virtually every cell in the human body, a biological marvel that continuously works to maintain a delicate electrical and chemical gradient. In simple terms, it actively pumps sodium out of the cells and pulls potassium into them. This process is fundamental to everything from nerve impulses to muscle contractions. It is also the absolute cornerstone of regulating the body's fluid balance and, consequently, blood pressure. A healthy body is designed for a perfect rhythm, a seamless exchange. For millennia, the human diet provided these two minerals in a specific, healthy ratio. Diets rich in fruits, roots, vegetables, and lean meats were naturally high in potassium and low in sodium. Research into ancestral diets suggests our forebears may have consumed a ratio of potassium to sodium of nearly 16:1, 16 parts potassium for every 1 part sodium. The modern diet has completely inverted this. Today, with the prevalence of processed, packaged, and restaurant foods, the average person in the Western world consumes a ratio that is tragically flipped, often taking in 2 or 3 times more sodium than potassium. This profound imbalance sends a disastrous signal to the kidneys. An excess of sodium tells the body to retain water in an effort to dilute it, increasing the total volume of blood circulating in the arteries. More volume equals more pressure. This is the very same pressure that pounds against those delicate kidney filters, day after day. The body is designed for a delicate dance. Sodium in, potassium out. Modern food broke the rhythm. This constant state of pressure doesn't just strain the heart. It inflicts a slow, mechanical injury upon the body's most sensitive filtration system. But one cannot simply eliminate all salt. That would be dangerous. The true secret is not subtraction, but a powerful, deliberate addition. And studies from the 1980s hold a shocking clue. Long before the boom of blockbuster pharmaceuticals, researchers were intensely focused on the dietary components that governed cardiovascular health. They observed that populations with high potassium intake consistently exhibited healthier blood pressure levels and better long-term kidney health, irrespective of their salt intake. Potassium, they discovered, is sodium's natural adversary. When potassium levels are adequate, it signals the kidneys to do something remarkable. excrete more sodium through urine. This process naturally reduces fluid retention, lowers blood volume, and eases the physical pressure on the entire circulatory system, most critically, within the kidneys themselves. This is the forgotten habit, not a complex diet, not a miracle pill, but the simple, conscious act of restoring the body's intended mineral balance by deliberately increasing the intake of potassium-rich foods. This isn't about one superfood, but a fundamental shift in dietary philosophy. When one thinks of potassium, the first food that often comes to mind is the banana. And while bananas are a decent source, the world of potassium-rich foods is vastly more diverse and powerful. 1 cup of cooked spinach contains over 800 milligrams. A single avocado can hold nearly 700 milligrams. A baked sweet potato, more than 900. Lentils, beans, yogurt, and fish like salmon are all phenomenal sources that can easily be incorporated into one's daily meals. The goal is not to become obsessive, but to become mindful. It's about making small, consistent shifts that, over time, create a profound protective effect. Swapping a bag of salty crisps for a handful of almonds and a piece of fruit. Adding a side of steamed broccoli or a baked potato to a dinner plate instead of a processed grain. These small acts collectively work to turn down the internal pressure valve, giving the body's silent filters the respite they desperately need to continue their work for decades to come. While adding these foods is a powerful first step, there is a specific ratio one must aim for to truly shield these vital organs. What is this golden ratio of potassium to sodium, and how does one achieve it without complex meal plans? The numbers are surprisingly clear. Most major health organizations, including the American Heart Association, suggest a daily sodium intake of less than 2,300 milligrams, and ideally no more than 1,500 milligrams for adults over 50. For potassium, the target is significantly higher, around 4,700 milligrams per day. This creates a target potassium to sodium ratio of at least 2 to 1, with a goal of reaching 3 to 1 or even 4 to 1 for optimal vascular and renal protection. This may sound like a daunting mathematical challenge, but it is far simpler in practice. It is a philosophy of addition, not just subtraction. Before one even thinks about cutting salt, one should focus on adding potassium by prioritizing whole, unprocessed foods. Fruits, vegetables, legumes, one naturally and automatically decreases sodium intake while simultaneously increasing potassium. The ratio begins to correct itself without the need for a calculator at every meal. This is the gentle path to restoration. A single cup of white beans added to a soup or salad provides over 1,000 milligrams of potassium. A medium baked potato with the skin provides over 900. These are not exotic ingredients. They are humble, accessible, and powerful tools for long-term health. Clinical research from institutions like the National Institutes of Health has consistently pointed towards this mineral relationship as a cornerstone of vascular and renal health. A study published in the Archives of Internal Medicine followed thousands of adults for years. The findings were stark. Those with the highest ratio of potassium to sodium in their diet had a nearly 50% lower risk of death from cardiovascular disease. The message is clear. This balance is not a minor detail. It is a fundamental pillar of longevity. But there's a danger here. For a small subset of the population, suddenly increasing potassium can be problematic. How does one know if they fall into this category? And more importantly, there is one common beverage that actively sabotages this entire process, no matter how much potassium one consumes. It is a critical point of responsibility to note that for individuals with established, advanced kidney disease, often stage 4 or 5, the kidneys may lose their ability to properly excrete potassium. In these specific medical cases, high potassium intake can be dangerous. This is why anyone with a known kidney condition or who is taking certain medications like ACE inhibitors or angiotensin receptor blockers must consult with their physician before making any significant changes to their diet. For the vast majority of adults seeking to protect their future health, however, optimizing potassium is one of the most powerful preventative steps available. Yet this careful effort can be completely undermined by a daily habit many consider harmless or even healthy, a silent thief that actively leaches essential minerals from the body and disrupts the delicate cellular dance of sodium and potassium. This drink, found in millions of refrigerators across the country, acts as a hidden antagonist to kidney health. It enters the system and systematically disrupts the very cellular pumps one is trying so hard to support. It isn't sugar, and it isn't alcohol. The true culprit, a compound hiding in plain sight, is phosphoric acid. It's the ingredient that gives dark colas their signature tangy bite. And it's a profound biological disruptor, not for its calories, not for its caffeine, but for its simple, aggressive acidity. To understand the damage, one must first understand a fundamental truth about the human body. It is an organism obsessed with balance, specifically pH balance. Your blood must be maintained within an incredibly narrow alkaline range, around 7.4. Any deviation is a life-threatening emergency. When you consume a drink high in phosphoric acid, you are, in essence, pouring a mild acid directly into this exquisitely balanced system. The body's emergency alarms go off. It must neutralize this acid immediately. But how? It doesn't have a bottle of antacid on hand, so it turns to its own internal reserves. It initiates a desperate search for alkaline minerals to buffer the acid. And where are the body's largest stores of these minerals? They are in your bones, in the form of calcium phosphate, and inside your cells, in the form of potassium. The body, in its wisdom to protect the blood at all costs, begins to pull these vital minerals out of your tissues. It literally steals calcium from your skeleton and potassium from your cells, throwing them into the bloodstream to fight the acidic invader. Do you see the insidious nature of this sabotage? You can spend your entire day carefully curating a diet rich in potassium, filling your cells with this protective mineral. And then, in a single 30-second act of drinking a Diet Cola, you trigger a biological process that commands your body to dump that very same mineral out of your cells to be used as an acid-neutralizing agent. It's one step forward, two steps back. Every sip is actively working against your efforts, undermining the very potassium-to-sodium ratio you are trying so hard to fix. But the damage doesn't stop there. This leached calcium and the waste products from neutralizing the acid must now be dealt with. And which organ is tasked with filtering all of this metabolic debris? The kidneys. They are now faced with a double burden. First, they are being robbed of the protective, pressure-lowering effects of high cellular potassium. Second, they are being flooded with excess calcium and acid waste, a combination that is a known precursor to the formation of painful kidney stones. It creates a perfect storm for long-term renal decline. The very habit that many people adopt to be healthier, switching from sugary soda to diet soda, becomes a hidden catalyst for the slow, silent erosion of their most vital filters. So the question we must ask is no longer just, how do I get more potassium, but rather, how do I stop my own habits from stealing the potassium I already have? This concept is known as dietary acid load, and it extends far beyond just soda. The modern Western diet, heavy in processed foods, grains, and animal proteins, is overwhelmingly acid-forming. Fruits and vegetables, in contrast, are generally alkaline-forming once metabolized. They arrive with their own supply of alkaline minerals like potassium and magnesium, which help buffer the body's natural metabolic acids without requiring the body to steal from its own reserves. This is a war fought on a cellular level every single day, a constant, low-grade acidic stress that, over decades, contributes to hypertension, bone loss, and kidney fatigue. It forces our bodies into a state of perpetual mineral triage, constantly robbing Peter to pay Paul, sacrificing long-term structural integrity for short-term survival. The kidneys are on the front lines of this battle, and over time, the relentless pressure can cause them to falter. But what if the solution isn't just about swapping one food for another? What if there was a way to fundamentally alter your body's entire pH balancing system? A way to dramatically reduce the acid load without ever changing a single item on your plate? There is a physiological master switch that governs this process. It's a system so powerful that when controlled, it can help the body clear metabolic acid more efficiently than anything you can eat or drink. A forgotten power that you engage in over 20,000 times a day, yet almost certainly take for granted. This hidden key has nothing to do with digestion and everything to do with respiration. Yes, you're breathing. But this isn't about taking a few deep, calming breaths. In fact, what if I told you that the way you're breathing right now is the primary reason your body is struggling to manage its acid load? What if your subconscious breathing habits are a bigger enemy than any diet soda? It sounds insane, doesn't it? Breathing is automatic. How could you possibly be doing it wrong? The answer lies in a profound misunderstanding of one specific molecule in your body. A molecule you've been taught your entire life is nothing more than a useless waste product. That molecule is carbon dioxide. We think of it as the exhaust fumes of our cellular engines, something to be expelled as quickly and completely as possible. This belief is not just wrong. It is the fundamental error that drives chronic overbreathing and, in turn, sabotages your blood pressure. You see, your body doesn't actually trigger the urge to breathe based on a lack of oxygen. Think about it. You can hold your breath for 30, maybe 60 seconds. Your blood is still almost 100% saturated with oxygen at that point. The panic, the desperate, burning urge to gasp for air, is triggered by the rising levels of carbon dioxide in your blood. CO2 is the master signaling molecule for respiration. And here is the secret that changes everything. Your body needs to maintain a specific concentration of CO2 in the blood at all times. It is not waste. It is the primary regulator of your blood's pH. Remember the phosphoric acid from the diet soda and the body's desperate scramble to find alkaline minerals? Carbon dioxide, when dissolved in the blood, forms carbonic acid. This makes CO2 the fastest, most powerful tool the body has to instantly regulate its acid-base balance on a second-by-second basis, far faster than the kidneys ever could. When you chronically overbreathe, taking slightly too many breaths per minute, often through your mouth, using your upper chest, you are constantly blowing off too much CO2. You are literally exhaling your body's most important pH buffer. This condition is called chronic hypocapnia, and it forces your body into a state of emergency. With its primary acid regulator depleted, the blood becomes slightly too alkaline. This is known as respiratory alkalosis. To compensate, the body must now force the kidneys to excrete alkaline buffers, like bicarbonate, in the urine, desperately trying to bring the pH back down. This puts an immense, unnecessary strain on your kidneys, day in and day out. They are fighting a battle that your own breathing habits started. But the sabotage goes even deeper. And this next part is the key to understanding why your breathing is directly controlling your blood pressure. It's a phenomenon discovered over a century ago called the Bohr effect. A red blood cell is like a delivery truck packed with oxygen, but it won't just drop off its precious cargo anywhere. It needs a specific chemical signal to unlock the doors and release the oxygen into the tissues and organs that need it. That signal is carbon dioxide. Without sufficient CO2 in the blood, the bond between oxygen and hemoglobin becomes too strong. The delivery trucks keep driving, but they never unload. Your blood can be 99% saturated with oxygen, but your tissues can be starving for it. This is the ultimate paradox of overbreathing. The more air you pull in, the less oxygen your cells actually receive. So what does a body do when its vital organs and tissues are screaming for oxygen they aren't receiving? It triggers a primitive survival mechanism. It constricts the smooth muscles around your blood vessels, especially the tiny arterioles. This is vasoconstriction. Your body is desperately trying to increase the pressure to force the oxygen out of the blood and into the cells. And there it is, your subconscious breathing habit. That gentle, chronic hyperventilation you don't even notice is directly signaling your body to clamp down on your blood vessels 24 hours a day. It is the root cause of systemic high blood pressure. All the low-sodium diets, the potassium supplements, the magnesium oils in the world are just treating the symptoms. They are trying to force the blood vessels to relax, while your own breath is screaming at them to constrict. But how did we get here? Why has modern humanity forgotten how to breathe? The answer isn't in some ancient, forgotten text. It's written in the blueprint of our modern lives. It's the constant, low-grade stress of deadlines, traffic, and the ceaseless ping of notifications on our phones. Our ancient nervous systems were not designed for this. They were built for short bursts of intense threat, a predator in the grass, followed by long periods of calm. Today, the predator is always there. This keeps us perpetually locked in a state of low-grade fight or flight. And the very first thing your body does when it senses danger, it prepares to run. It opens the mouth, raises the chest, and starts breathing faster, ready to oxygenate the muscles for a sprint. We are living, day in and day out, in the breathing pattern of a creature that is constantly, quietly panicking. But here is the most powerful truth of all. While you cannot consciously command your heart to beat slower, or your kidneys to filter differently, your breath is the one voluntary key you hold to your entire autonomic nervous system. It is the master switch. The path back begins with a simple, profound action. Close your mouth. Your nose is a miraculous technology. It warms, humidifies, and filters the air you breathe. It also triggers the release of nitric oxide, a powerful gas that directly relaxes and widens your blood vessels, further lowering your blood pressure. The second step is to breathe from your belly, not your chest. Place a hand on your stomach. When you inhale through your nose, your hand should rise. When you exhale, it should fall. This engages your diaphragm, the great, forgotten muscle of respiration, allowing for a full, efficient, and calming exchange of gases. Try it right now. A gentle inhale through your nose for a count of 4, and a long, slow, complete exhale through your nose for a count of 6. Let the air leave your body completely. Feel the pause. That is the feeling of CO2 returning to its rightful, healthy balance in your blood. This is not a complex medical procedure. It is a return to the way you were designed to function. By retraining your subconscious breathing patterns from a state of chronic alarm to one of conscious calm, you are not just managing your blood pressure, you are dismantling the machine that creates it. You are telling your body, with every slow exhale, that you are safe. We have been taught to look outside of ourselves for the cure, to find the right pill or the perfect diet. But the ultimate tool for mastering your health was given to you at birth. It's the first thing you did when you entered this world, and the last thing you will do when you leave it. The secret was never out there. It was in here, all along. This is just the beginning of reclaiming your health through the power of your own breath. We'll be exploring techniques for sleep, anxiety, exercise, and so much more. Join us. Subscribe to Better_Health, and let's learn to breathe our way back to life.